Welcome back in 3HL 104.5, the Zone SEC Media Days in Dallas, Texas. Brent Doherty, Don Davenport, Ron Slay, the commissioner of the Southeastern Conference. Greg Sankey joins us now. Commissioner, how are you?
I'm well. Thanks for being here.
How much of a grind is this event for you?
It is a grind, but
I see you sitting at every table.
Yeah,
basically.
no, it's a grind. There's a lot of talking, but, there's a lot worse things you could be doing in life, so I'll take it.
The SEC now 16 strong on the banner. How excited are you about this college football season?
Very. A lot of change, but a lot of familiarity amidst that change, and a lot of excitement about who we are now at 16 and our 14 from the past, 12 years, our 10 from the, or excuse me, our 12 from the past 30-plus years, and our 10 from the past 90-plus years, all combined into an incredible conference. I think people respect our strength and expect incredible competition in every sport we have in the year ahead.
Commissioner, I don't know if you remember, it was when the news kind of broke prior to it was supposed to be breaking about the expansion. We were in Birmingham for SEC Media Days, and right after it broke, you got to sit down with us and do our radio interview.
I've relived. So there are radio folks who've said, hey, you were with us right before, and you never gave us a clue, and then you were right. You were with us right after, like you, and there was this horde of media following you, asking you questions.
Yep, they were all sitting like inches from you, waiting to see, which, of course, you were like, yeah, we ain't talking about it.
No, and I remember going to Catherine, and I wondered if you would still do it.
Yeah.
And of course, he sat down 10 minutes later. And Dawn asked, multiple follow-up questions about it. And
you have the good with the bad. And I can look you in the eye and say, well, I'm not going to answer that question.
Yes. Finally, you were like, okay, enough. But that being said, you look back at that time and then the process of how it's all happened and where we are now as a conference, and has everything been what you thought it would be, and has everything kind of moved in the direction that it should?
Well, relative to the growth, I think we've done a really nice job using the 3 years. We started in August of 21, which was a month after the invitation, with the athletics directors from Oklahoma and Texas joining with our athletics directors and meeting. That was by Zoom. Next January, they started meeting in person. That's become regular. Last May, so May of 23, the presidents of both universities started meeting with our presidents and chancellors, so they're a year plus into that relationship. We brought all of the head coaches into our meetings. There were a few conflicts, but we did that a year in advance of them being in the league so that they know everybody at the head coach level and understand how we make decisions, how we function. So all of that's been really healthy. We've made scheduling decisions. The football ones through 25. We've got some more opportunities to think through 26 and beyond. And we had celebration events in Austin and Norman that were outstanding, and we're here. This is our reality.
Pitbull was, throwing a show.
There was a point where I was the only thing between the audience and Pitbull, and they did not want to hear from me. So I'm smart enough to get out of the way.
Let them do that. It's an interesting place to be in life.
You were the opener for Pitbull, Commissioner.
Yeah, I had a chance to meet him in a small group setting. Smelled great, and then somebody said he has cologne. I looked it up, that would explain why.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
What is
Pitbull information from the commissioner?
And we need that.
Yeah.
What was the most exciting group taking the fan bases out of it, as far as Texas and Oklahoma? People welcomed them with open arms, or was it a little hesitation early on when Texas and Oklahoma was coming in?
Oh, back when we were considering?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, we obviously have an in-state rivalry that that created a few questions.
Yeah.
Rightly so, and I respect that.
Right.
And I give a great deal of credit that we produced a unanimous vote of our membership to extend the invitations. And I think there were still questions that lingered.
Yeah.
Why and what was going on, and then I provided and responded to questions that I had from leadership and from groups. You go to June, July of 2022, a year later, when USC and UCLA announced their move to the Big Ten, and everybody said, oh, wow, it starts to make more sense. And then you look last year at all of the movement, the disintegration of really the Pac-12 as we know it, and what you saw was we were on the leading edge. I don't think everything that happened has a direct tie to our decision, but we were able to make decisions. Yep, there were questions, Ron.
Right.
But I think our decision-making has been justified. It's allowed us to control our direction, not to be reactive, not to step outside our footprint and change our branding, really, change who we are. And our presidents and chancellors, when we talked about opportunities a bit farther away, said, you know what, we know who we are, our fans know who we are, and that's really important, and it's made something special.
It is.
Commissioner Sankey with us. I have a question about this season, and, with 16 coming in, so many solid, good teams. There's going to be ties. I know you had said there is not. You haven't announced, right, what the tie-breaking system will be, but I am curious from you, what is the thought process when you're going through the options? Can you open the curtain for us?
Yeah, so first of all, we're going to be in a single division. That's 30 years of, tradition or reality that changes. And that,
so weird.
That discussion started back in 2018, though.
Yeah.
This is not a post-expansion change. We had a lot of dialogue in 18 and 19 about, should we look at our scheduling format? We actually were in Nashville in March of 20 when everything stopped because of COVID with a presentation for our presidents and chancellors about what we'd learn on scheduling options, what it might mean. That included how you think about tiebreakers, believe it or not. So this is not some new effort. And then we stopped. Yeah. And then COVID kept our attention for a year plus, and then expansion was there. And so we've been working on it since. But you want to take time, and you want to think of all the scenarios. We announced the scheduling format a year ago. One of the keys is in divisions, everybody that's going to be in a tie would have played everybody, so there would clearly be a head-to-head reality. The East champion would have played all the East teams, the West champion, all the West teams. We had crossover games. In the single division format, you may have a tie between teams that did not play.
That's right.
But you still want to start out honoring head-to-head competition. You can have a multiple-team tie where two teams played and the third team didn't. And so then you have to go in descending order. We've presented information almost at every in-person meeting. In January, where we're really in-depth on the tiebreaker with our athletics directors, shared an update at our Destin meeting, provided a feedback window during a video conference a week ago. We've had some input. We're looking at what adjustments might need to be considered based on that feedback. Just last-minute fine-tuning. Should the word be will or would or may or shall?
Yeah.
All those little things. And we'll wrap it up in August before the season. And then we're going to go through learning experiences. I think when I'm asked about scheduling, just to extend maybe to the next question, we're going to use the year to see what it's like to be in a single division, what it's like to be in an 8-game schedule with 16 teams. And I think that's the right way to approach long-term decision-making. Use as much information as you can access to inform your decision.
Commissioner Greg Sankey with us on 3HL.
Commissioner, when talking about scheduling, football is extending so long, with it rolling over. What about basketball and baseball? Has it ever been thought of pushing it back, like in it rolling over into the summer a little deeper and basketball rolling over into the spring a little deeper?
So the question included the word ever. Has it ever been?
Boy, you sure listen.
Yeah, and the answer, well, I want you to understand, the answer is yes.
Okay.
And I want to think, I can remember, it was Mark Gottfried was coaching at Alabama in men's basketball. We went into a deep analysis of moving the basketball season. And we never, I think we told some other folks about it. And it was, could you start mid-December kind of, make it more of a one-semester sport? And where does that put you with a conclusion? And it wasn't as dramatic in some ways as you'd think. But do you want to have NCAA tournament games up against the NBA playoffs?
Right.
And the NHL playoffs? They're not moving.
Yep.
And that March window works really well to feature college basketball. The NBA, the NHL season is winding down. It's not yet opening day for baseball. We have overlap, but that's driven by the academic calendar. We've had conversations with colleagues about, do you play basketball in the summer? I will tell you that championship game in Omaha is the hottest athletic event I've ever attended. That last game between A&M and Tennessee, it was brutally hot. Yeah. And do you want more of that?
Right.
And part of the challenge in college baseball is you're going to go through a season that starts in February, a little bit different than Omaha was on that Monday night, but that's part of the true test of a team. And we still are academically centered, and so I think it justifies what we're doing. But, has it been talked about? Sure, you're going to change draft dates.
Yeah.
We don't control that.
Right.
You're going to change
That's right.
other entry issues for some sports that have to be thought out. It's a big question, and that's why I said we have. And will we talk about it again at some point? It's not on the agenda, but you would expect somebody will bring it up yet again because you just did.
Florida State and Clemson, obviously in litigation with the ACC. How closely
I've heard.
How closely are you monitoring that situation? And is there a scenario where you would entertain adding those two schools?
Well, I pay attention. I've said that's my responsibility. I don't comment on other conferences' members, so I won't. And our focus is on our 16. It's a monumental change.
Could you add to the 16?
There's no need to. And I'm not focused on other conferences' members. They have contracts.
Yeah.
They've agreed to their situations. They voted on bylaws. Now they're litigating whether those are valid. That's their issue. We're not going to be entangled in somebody else's legal issues. Our members have said to us, don't spend our money to bring somebody else in. So it has to be something that grows our opportunities, not simply divides a pie into more slices.
Will you do something outside of after this event, like to get away, like to have time to yourself?
Yeah, so we have our student athlete leaders here, so I'll meet with them this evening, catch the last flight I can out of town back to Dallas, and tomorrow morning I'm back on video conferences like at 8:30. But I'm hoping the weekend is quiet, and I'm not going to speak at all.
I love it.
So I do have a question for you. It's kind of random. I look. You're the head of the best football conference in the country. Your
best
job
everything
is,
conference.
I know. Yes.
Best everything conference.
Good call, Commissioner. I appreciate that.
With a smile on my face.
Yes,
Dawn, yeah.
I know. Yes, but. What is it's all encompassing, right? Academics, athletics, everything. What is your favorite part of your job right now?
I'll go to football since you asked about football. I know people don't always like those early games.
Yeah.
But on a Saturday after a week of work to be in an end zone at kickoff and have 10 or 15 minutes, not really to be talking to anyone, but just appreciate the game from that angle, I take more joy in that than I can communicate over radio. Now, there's a lot of great things. Like I get to know people that most see from afar and on TV. I get to learn from them. I get to go around and experience things I never thought. I'm invited into rooms where I probably don't belong with leaders I never would have imagined. I've met presidents. I've met world leaders. Those are neat things. But, man, that's Saturday, early kick, because you don't have any other controversies or anything to clean up. You're just there as a commissioner for a football game. That really brings joy.
SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey, thank you for the time, sir. Always good to see you.
Thank you. Good to be here.
All right. When we come back, Chris Lowe from ESPN.com next on 104.5 The Zone.